Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Alivia Brown and I am currently a fourth year undergraduate student at UCLA studying anthropology. Normally on this channel, you guys know, I talk all things anthropology, but it's been brought to my attention that I have been neglecting all my archaeologists. So if that's you, I apologize. And obviously if you guys saw the title of this video, which you did, we're gonna be talking about material culture today. So without further ado, let's just get into it. All right, as usual, we are going to be starting off with the technical definition, which I have written down right here on my laptop. So I'll read that to you and then we'll break it down and I'll give you everything that you need to know. So, material culture is the aspect of social reality grounded in the objects and architecture that surround people. It includes the usage, consumption, creation, and trade of objects, as well as the behaviors, norms, and rituals that the objects create or take part in. Now, there's a lot happening in this definition. It's quite long and quite meaty, but I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to know and what you should remember about material culture right here, right now. Now, material culture is strongly associated with anthropology as a field, and more specifically associated with archaeology. For anyone who doesn't know, archaeology is actually a subfield of anthropology. That is the relationship between those two things. So if you're thinking about material culture, it is directly related to archaeology and anthropology. Now, let's start with the term material culture. All right, you guys know what a culture is. It has a lot to do with the social organization, the political organization, the economic organization of a particular group of people or a community. Now, material culture is looking at the physical representation of these things. So it's literally an object that you find and understanding what exactly, not only the function of that object is, but also the meaning of that object in a particular culture. I think it's really easy to assume that, let's say you found an arrowhead, right? What was the function of that arrowhead? That's like the first thing that you're going to think of. But you also have to think about the meaning that that arrowhead had for the people who used it. So maybe certain arrowheads are actually associated with higher status or lower status. I mean, there's so many things and so many different ways that you could take this example that has more to do with the physical function of that arrowhead. Now, let's back up a little bit. When you think about archaeology or when you think about anthropology, I think it's really easy to assume that there's someone out there in the field with their shovel digging things up, and then there's this quantitative tally of exactly what's happening. How many bowls you found, how many pots you found, how many plates you found, and the list goes on. And then eventually all these items get transferred to a museum or elsewhere, and that's where inquiry stops, right? But in reality, that's not actually a good strategy. If you're just thinking about how many items you found or what items you found, you're not actually gaining a lot about the function and the purpose and the meaning of those items in a given culture. And that's really where material culture and the concepts that defend material culture really come to play. Now, the reason that these items get transferred to a museum is because not only do they mean something to us, but they mean something to the people who used them. And I think that's a really important thing to remember as you move forward with this term. And I really do want to note that throughout the history of archaeology, the significance of the items that were found was highly neglected. It was very much, like I said, a quantitative tally of what exactly is being found. However, archaeology actually underwent this huge shift in the 1960s, where it went from this field of archaeology to a field of new archaeology. And if you guys want to hear about new archaeology in another video, let me know. But basically, just a lot of the concepts and assumptions and methods that people were using underwent a lot of change. Now, as a modern field, archaeologists and anthropologists really acknowledge that objects actually live lives of their own rather than existing in this objective space. And basically what I mean by this is objects have a lot of power. In a society, if you are wearing a crown, for example, that probably means that you hold a lot of power, and the object that you're wearing actually represents that. If you have a bunch of $100 bills in your pocket, then you're probably doing pretty well, and that is an object. The biggest thing here is every object has a story. There's a who, a what, a where, a when, and a why. Who created this object? Why was this object created? How does this artifact impact the people who used it? And I just think it's incredibly important to understand an object and the meaning and its function and its purpose. Now, the final thing that I want to leave you guys with is that material culture actually exists in opposition to something called symbolic culture. And symbolic culture is the non-material culture that we often think of. So this is traditions that get passed down over many generations, or stories that get passed down over many generations. Anything that you can think of that gets passed down that isn't a physical item is definitely something that probably falls in the realm of symbolic culture. All of this is to say, items have a lot of power. Whether this is your iPhone, or this is your water bottle, or this is your backpack, I mean, whatever it is, each of these objects does something for you and you do something for that object. And at the end of the day, anthropologists and archaeologists are looking to understand the meaning that gets conveyed through items all around the world, both presently and historically. So I think that is actually all I have to say today about material culture. If you guys have any questions about it, this was definitely a basic definition. I know I didn't get into the nitty-gritty. Leave all your questions in the comment section down below, and I will of course have all my sources linked in the description box down below. And yes, I think that is everything. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday, and I will see you all next week. All right, you guys, bye.